G'day legends, I hope you're all amazing. Welcome to yet another Q&A video. This one is powered by my amazing supporters over on Patreon who were kind enough to submit a whole bunch of different questions for me to sink my teeth into. You will notice these unfamiliar surroundings as well. I'm currently in Adelaide as part of their Fringe Festival. I'm performing with Club Cabaret. We're about 3 weeks into a 5-week season, and hopefully nobody noticed that I was gone. I did schedule a whole bunch of videos for while I'm away. There's been a lot going on though, so I figured it would be really nice to actually check in with everybody, tell you a little bit about what I've been doing, and also answer some of your questions. If you would like to support what I'm doing on my channel, you can, of course, sign up to the Patreon, get access to a whole bunch of exclusive content. This now has a few years worth of archive content, everything from effects blocks, presets, tutorials, technique videos, backing tracks, access to these Q&A videos, and a whole bunch of behind the scenes content. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Thank you so much to everybody who supports me over on Patreon. It makes a massive difference. It keeps the lights on, it keeps my cats fed, and I'm able to do what I love to do, which is to chat to all of you and make some loud guitar noises. Let's rip into these questions. The first question is Adelaide. Yeah. Most people, when they think of Australia, probably think of Sydney or Melbourne. I, of course, live on the West Coast, which is in Perth. Adelaide is kind of sandwiched. You know, it's not really in the middle. It's much closer to the actual East Coast, but it is quite a lovely city, I have to say. I've been having a fantastic time here. The Adelaide Fringe Festival is the second biggest fringe in the world after Edinburgh. I did Edinburgh last year with a show which was simply incredible, but I've been able to catch up with so many local musos, see so many great shows, lots of hangs. There's a bunch of jam nights on that we've been able to go to. It has been very musically fulfilling. There's lots of great food, lots of great coffee. The Adelaide markets and Botanic Gardens are pretty stunning as well. And obviously playing the Club Cabaret shows in a beautiful old Spiegel tent has been really nice as well. Basically using my FM9 based rig. For the Edinburgh season, I went sans expression pedal, and I did miss my expression pedal. So I've got that in there, the Nuix B8 wireless, and I've got my Chilia Bell Aurora, which is probably my favorite guitar, such an incredible instrument. And I've got my Sir Modern as well. Those two have been covering a lot of the duties. I've also got my Fender Strat over here, the Ultra Luxe Vintage, which I've been cycling in and out of the show. Currently it's my hotel room guitar, which I can just basically play unplugged, and it's absolutely a vibe. So that's what I've been up to while I'm here in Adelaide. It was also the Sydney Guitar Show the last weekend gone, and while I wasn't there, you probably saw my face on a big cardboard cutout. So to everybody who sent me a photo of me looking very bemused in the Tone Sanctuary booth above the Head First amps and the Chilia guitars, I really hope you enjoyed checking out those amazing companies. It's so cool to have friends doing amazing stuff in the industry. And I am missing home as well. I miss my cats, I miss my wife, I miss all the joys of being at home, but I do get to go out and make loud noises with this amazing show every night. So just getting you all up to speed. To the person who asked, Adelaide? Adelaide. Next up, we got a couple of questions from a longtime supporter, all-around legend, Rutger. We're gonna start out with talking about pre and post compression in a guitar rig. I would characterize the way I like to use pre or post compression in two ways. When I'm using a compressor between the guitar and the amp, I am looking for character. So I tend to like compressors that are gonna make things super squishy, like an OTA compressor. Think of your classic Dynacomp, where it really changes the character and the attack of the guitar. Or I like something like an 1176, which is actually gonna get distorted and overdriven and add a whole bunch of grit and girth to your sound. And I've got videos with a bunch of really great compressors on the channel. The Origin Effects Cali 76, the Crazy Tube Circuits Golden Ratio, the old Mua Yellow Comp. I think they all do a great job there. When it comes to post compression, I like that for lower gain tones to just kind of beef up the sound without necessarily changing the character. My buddy Michael Nielsen has a great video with the Distressor, the rack mount unit, which I'd highly recommend you check out from a few years ago, where it's kind of got this like edge of breakup AC30 thing going on, and just the extra beef that that can give, especially in a mix. I think if you're using heavily distorted double tracked or quad track guitars, you probably don't need to run a bunch of compression there, but if you've got some nice chimey mid-gain stuff, or you're going for that super squishy 80s clean tone, then something like a DBX or a distressor really goes a long way there. Again, just to kind of, I guess, fill out anything that's missing. When I think of the classic Vox chimey tone, for example, that's something that's generally happening when you've got the bass and treble wound up, so it gives you a bit of a mid-cut, so it's like kind of pushing up the mid-range a little bit and essentially acting as an enhancer or an embiggener. Rutger also wants to know about my favorite concert that I've ever been to. I was lucky enough to see Metallica recently, which was absolutely incredible, seeing that show from the Snake Pit. That one would definitely rank up there. Rocklahoma 2016, I saw so many of my favorite bands, including Queensryche with Todd La Torre, who did an incredible job of all those old classic songs. Watching them as it was starting to rain a little bit was super epic. Seeing the Scorpions on that same concert and then actually getting to play after the Scorpions was pretty amazing as well. But I think for me, the concert that affected me the most on an emotional level was getting to see Rush in 2016 on their American tour, and hearing Subdivisions live was something else. That's an all-time concert moment for me. So that one was super special. I've been really fortunate to catch a lot of my favorite artists of all time, but I think those ones would really stand out for me. How viable do I see a career in music these days? This is going to sound like rank hypocrisy, because I guess technically I'm somebody who has a viable career in music, but most of what I do is music adjacent. I still love making loud guitar noises. That's my favorite hobby. That's my favorite way to spend my time. And I get to do that and get paid for it, like I am at the moment with this show. I technically do that on the YouTube channel, even though most of what I'm doing is actually editing videos. I'm involved in marketing products. This is the whole influencer ecosystem, right? I also do a lot of teaching and mentoring. So a lot of music adjacent activities. Still plenty of music, but I still mostly play guitar on my own at home for fun. And I think I was really hung up about that maybe 15 years ago, where I was viewing playing guitar through the lens of there's only one way to do it, and you have to be out on the road making fresh art at all times, doing what your heroes did. But I think I've definitely come around to the point where playing music is just a fundamental part of the human experience. It's not the be-all and the end-all of the human experience. And I still recommend to a lot of people, that's such a lovely thing. It's such a great hobby to have. You don't have to monetize every single hobby that you have. And I think for a lot of people, it's a lot easier to balance, let's say, a traditional career with playing music for fun. It doesn't mean that you're any less of a musician because you're not making money from it. And a really great example of this, my wife is an amazing cosplayer, spends a lot of her time crafting, going to conventions, getting together with her friends and doing photo shoots. But she doesn't have a whole lot of interest in turning that into a full-time hustle. And I was reflecting on this recently, where it's like, well, my number one hobby is guitar and playing music. And I just viewed it through the lens that I have to turn this into my full-time hustle. I know so many amazing players who don't play music full-time. They have careers, they have families, they still get as much enjoyment as possible out of the instrument. And I think in that case, rather than as a starting point go, I need to have a viable career in music, look at it primarily as a great way to have fun and spend your time on earth. And then if you feel the urge to monetize it, you feel the urge and the calling to go and make a career out of it, do so, but also do a bunch of other stuff, because there's so many fun things out there that are adjacent to music that I think you can find very, very satisfying. On the topic of music and staying motivated, this one comes from Mark Johnson. How do I stay motivated for long periods of time? I think this ties right into the last question that I answered there, where guitar is still my favorite hobby, but there are definitely times where I know I need to put the instrument down. For example, I'm out doing this season with Club Cabaret. I've got a guitar in my room, but if I'm being honest, it's maybe once every second or third day I actually pick that guitar up and sit around, and I have consciously made the effort to go, well, every time I pick it up, I'm just gonna learn something new, whether it's a riff I've always wanted to learn, whether it's a few chords, whether it's a little melody. I've been going through this thing where I've been trying to learn a lot of Gary Moore tunes because I love Gary so much. So I just figured, why not pick off so many fun little melodies that he does. And if it's just one thing every time I pick up the guitar, I can then put it down and be really satisfied. Now, there's the added factor where I have to go in and play guitar for a couple of hours every night, but that is not super self-indulgent. I'm playing a role in the show. There's acrobats, fire performers, sword swallowers, contortionists. The focus is on them. So in that case, I'm experiencing the instrument in a different way. I'm experiencing it as something where I'm supporting another performer versus, say, performing with Ragdoll, where it really is all about the drums, bass, guitars, and vocals. We just go out and go whole hog with all of that. So for me, I get a lot of satisfaction out of performing. When I'm at home, it's mostly the satisfaction out of just sitting around and noodling and having a really lovely guitar sound, plugging into my Axe-Fx or my amps and just pulling a tone. Some days I'm in a particular mood where I want a gorgeous clean sound with some reverb, and I'll just sit on that and dedicate half an hour, an hour. And I say this to a lot of my students, where rather than try to be inspired every single day, turn your practice session into a habit, turn it into a type of behavior that you exhibit, that you try to do to make your overall life a whole lot better. And that probably sounds as new age as I look at the moment, but I think that really is the way. Consistency is the key. If you get hung up on trying to, enjoy the guitar the same way you did when you first played a power chord, then you're probably chasing a unicorn there. Just try to see it as a longer to medium term goal that you have, which is to learn a song or learn a riff or get better at a particular technique or way of expression. And then in the short term, I find that makes it a lot easier. Sometimes you have a practice session where you feel like you make absolutely no progress. It's okay to put the guitar down. You do not have to burn yourself out on it. This one comes from Peter Harvin. Peter is easily one of the most thoughtful people who comments on my YouTube regularly. He's a longtime supporter on the Patreon. And Peter, I just want to say thank you so much for your continued input on here. Now, there is obviously a lot of doom and gloom around AI and its effect on music. What positives can I see from AI on music? A big thing that is immediately applicable to guitar players, obviously, are the machine learning capture-based technologies. I think they're amazing. Neural amp modeler, Tonex, the Cortex capture, the way that we have this magical way of essentially taking a snapshot of our favorite guitar sound and then preserving it for as long as we like. I don't think this necessarily outweighs any negative aspects that we're seeing around, music consumption and AI music replacing artists on streaming platforms and the energy input and all of that. I'm not getting into that right now, but the machine learning capture technology, I think for guitar players, is a fantastic new thing that we can play around with and make noises. It's really cool being able to take an old Marshall, sort of get a beautiful snapshot of it and use that on a recording or playing it out live. I also think the thoughtful application of the assistants out there. For example, if you're trying to transcribe something or you're trying to dial in a tone, there's definitely an argument to be made about using some kind of AI-assisted search on there to maybe get a starting point. And I wouldn't say that this is going to be the be-all and end-all, like, hey, how do I sound like Van Halen? Dial it in for me. I think it's more a thing where we're going to see a lot more of these solutions where you say, I want to replicate this sound or this rig, or I've got this sound in mind. Just get me 70% of the way there as a starting point. And if it saves time, I think that's a big thing. The more time you can actually spend playing and creating rather than having to tweak hardware or tweak software. I think that would be the big one, and hopefully something that we see rolled out in a thoughtful manner. And, do I have a lot of faith in this approach? Probably not, but I really, really do hope we get there. This one comes from Henry K. I've been talking a lot about being on the road and my YouTube channel. How do I balance out running the channel, being married and having some kind of semblance of a balanced family life, and then also touring? How do I not get burnt out? Well, the reality is at the end of last year, I didn't quite feel burnt out, but I definitely felt like I needed some time to just spend at home and focus on, again, all the other things in life that I really enjoy. Playing music is definitely a massive part of me and my identity and what I like to do. And I love being out on the road. I get to perform with amazing performers, but also really, really great people. And again, I'm fortunate in that regard where playing with Cam and Ryan in Ragdoll, we've known one another for so long. We're great friends. You know, it's that beyond friendship that we've got at the moment where we can get together, we can go and make music, we can travel together, and mostly just have a great time with the small amount of time that we spend with one another. But they're great dudes, and I'm so thankful I get to spend time with them. That's the main focus there. Same thing out on the road with this show. Yeah, everyone's an amazing performer, but they're fundamentally good people, and there's a definite family vibe there. But when I go home, I think for me, the thing that I just like the most is, getting to actually spend some time with my wife. And it's little things like going on a walk or going to a national park. We're really lucky that we live in a beautiful place in Perth, and, you know, we're close to the ocean. We're close to a lot of nature there. The simple joy of getting up in the morning and making myself and my wife a coffee and having a little chat before she goes off to work, and then I hunker down with the YouTube channel. I have also made a conscious effort this year to basically make less content. I want to say for maybe 7 or 8 years, I was averaging at least 6 videos a week, which is an insane workload and something I definitely cannot keep up going forward. So I've cut down to 3 or 4 a week on here, trying to focus a little more on making some deep dive content for the Patreon, trying to focus on doing basically a lot more playing, documenting a lot more playing, having more demo tunes in the demos that I do, working on some new music for my own satisfaction, and just trying to stay fit and healthy. And that's a reality. You're never going to get perfection, but it's all about compromise and balance. And I'm very fortunate that my wife is so understanding. She's so creative and crafty as well, and making sure that, you know, if I'm out here like I am for 5 weeks, that when I go back home, that the time we spend together is great. And then she's also got time to work on all the fun things that she's doing, especially with her cosplay and crafting. We got a 3D printer at the end of last year, which is an amazing thing. I should definitely do a video on some fun 3D printed things. And I'd love to do some more videos with her on the channel. You know, we did that Warmouth build together, and that was incredibly satisfying and incredibly fun. But as always, I'm always looking for advice to make all of what I do more sustainable. So let me know in the comments. These next questions relate to the new Fractal AM4. These are from T Daddy and David Brown. First one, using the VP4 and the AM4 together. I did do a video looking at a couple of different setups you can use there. I've got some more planned for when I get back home, using, say, the VP4 and the AM4 in 4 cable method, where you sort of use some effects from the VP4 pre and post AM4 on there. Using the SPDIF digital connection, I think works really, really well. And a lot of people make the point, why not get an FM9? And I think, yeah, get an FM9. That is probably my favorite all-in-one floor modeler, but you can't saw it in half to make it smaller, where an AM4 and a VP4, you can connect digitally, but if you just want to use the AM4 for a small gig or to travel with, or you just want to use the VP4 with a real amp, you've still got those options in there, and they are so scalable. You've still got the amazing fractal effects in there as well, and the AM4 has quickly become one of my favorite pieces of gear. On top of that, do I prefer using the AM4 and the VP4 together, like I said, as an FM9 replacement you can saw in half, or with some other pedals? I actually found that running some of my fuzzers into the AM4 is really fun, and also just using it with, say, some of my Strymon or Eventide pedals is really satisfying. It's really easy to set up, and it's a quick grab and go rig where, you know, you can use that insert loop on there just to add an extra effect at the end. And going through my very, very large pedal collection now and reevaluating and re-enjoying some of those pedals, the AM4 is just a perfect little format to do that with on there. So like I said, I do have some more videos planned using both the AM4 and the VP4, and the AM4 and some pedals. So let me know if you've got any requests or anything you would like to see there. That is it for this week's Q&A video. If you would like me to answer one of your questions on the next Q&A, pop it in the comments section below. Again, a massive thank you to everybody who submitted a question for this week's Q&A. I really enjoyed this one, some fantastic questions. I spent a lot of time sipping coffee and thinking about how I was going to answer these. So to my amazing patrons, thank you so much. If you want to check out some of the music that I make with my band Ragdoll, it's all linked in the video description. Go and grab my free IR. You can join the Discord server and come and hang out and chat. But most of all, go and make some loud guitar noises. Try to enjoy yourselves, whether it's for 30 seconds or for 2 hours on the instrument. Put some good out into the world, and I will see you all on the next one. Cheers.